صباح. Salam.
This is my cousin Sabah. I have come here from London to pay my respects because recently Sabah's father, my uncle Kakarash, was shot dead by 86 American bullets on the streets of Kirkuk. My uncle was 75 years old and was enjoying his retirement after working all his life as a lorry driver. Like most Kurds, he suffered under Saddam Hussein's regime. So I wanted to know how he felt about the Americans' presence in Iraq.
كثير خوش مثلا صدام كرخاو أيوة الدنيا خوشة بيدها موضوع إن شاء الله براستي ظلم بيان خوش بو بس لو رجوع كبوك بيان كوش شو كهر إنسانك تعدي لي يشي بيني قاري لي على كده عطيت أبو عراقي كان رزقارك إلى صدام حسين بلام تو عطيت إيمان بكجي هر إنسانك تعرف خطاياك كا خطاياك بتسوق يعني أنتو نادي بيكوجي أبيه.
But did my uncle really make a mistake? I asked Sabah if we could go to the scene of the shooting. We drove on the same route my uncle had taken shortly before his death.
This is where my uncle was shot by the Americans. My uncle was in the car, he was driving, coming towards the checkpoint, and apparently the Americans signaled to him to stop. That is what they claim. This is a checkpoint, everybody knows. When you approach a checkpoint, you will stop in any case. However, they opened fire and they shot him, they killed him right here.
This Iraqi soldier at the checkpoint was here at the time of the shooting.
أمريكي كان يبي بس سيارة بقري أو سائق عجاي خوي نبو هذا يكسب برانبري أمريكي تقيقي ده عرزقة بوصله تنا وسطا وسي بيش عم بصره توا يسكتوا أتى أمريكي ليدا زون جبول ليدا ويزعني سلام فوقي خوي تقيان توا كوتا عرزقة وتان بيبان تيما حق ما حق باني خوتا يوم مخصخان تخوي برجع مخصخانة دواني ساعات وتان عمل خوي.
Okay, so perhaps my uncle might have panicked a bit. But these locals also witnessed the shooting and told me what they saw.
أنا صورابو يعني وش بقرته أو بقرته بلا يسرقها بقرته يقدر يقول له تأخذ دواي صلي ترش صلي آخر صلي قلش ضربه وقود بو هل مقصد يكشني بوا أي بويا كم جا أقول لك اللي ده تاكي تقان برا بوا سايب زاني أول شيء بس أو مقصد يكشن بوا بو يعني زو.
These guys also told me that in fact my uncle managed to leave the car and actually sat on the roadside for over 20 minutes. But the American soldiers didn't allow anyone to approach him until he collapsed. After hearing this chilling account, I decided to go and see my uncle's car, which had been kept at a local garage. The car is covered with bullet holes. I counted 86 of them in total. I had been told my uncle was shot from behind as well as he tried to escape, and the evidence confirms this.
Looking at the state of the car and the bullet holes, you can really see that there is absolutely no doubt they shot to kill him, not to warn him. This must be my uncle's sunglasses. I should keep this to remember him.
I wonder what the Americans call this, collateral damage or friendly fire? Before confronting the Americans, I needed to consolidate my findings with hard scientific evidence. At Azadi Hospital, I wanted to speak to Dr. Ahmed Mansour, who examined my uncle upon his arrival here on the day he was shot. At first, the hospital administrator tried to hide my uncle's file, and he also tried to stop Dr. Ahmed from talking to me. Fortunately, however, the doctor ignored this and was happy for our meeting to go ahead.
فأمانة بيوتري هاي فيلوستي مثال إنجري شنو جوروي بتشوكا لدرشونا برينكي جل جورابه أوياك وثانيا لجورة واش لما ساري أو إطلاقية هالشي بيت يمكن تكهف معناه أهاش أنا كان همي أدري فلبرو أو أنا عادة شي قاتل به حتى أقل محاولش كي علاج أمر دواء أول خالد بلين مردوك عافيكا ما تخلكان همي لبشتو بهرسي شي دي يناوي دسك بس بشر أو أوستي اللي يدري دواني شي لبشتو ولا سر شاني اللي درابو يكشي لخوار شاني اللي درابو فما هرسي كي لبشتو اللي درابو لبيشو درشوا معناه كليان داوا أو بشتي ليان بوا روبرو نبوا.
My worst fears have been confirmed by Dr. Ahmed. But surely the American soldiers can't be above the law. I wanted to see what Kirkuk's district chief of police, General Sarhat Qadir, had to say about it.
قواتي تحالفیش لەسەرێکەوە حەقیقۆیانە کەوا ملاحەزەی هەموو شتێک بکەن و سیارانەی کەلیان ئەتوێتە پێشەوە بەڵام بێجگە لە کوشتنەکەوان ئەتوانن کە تەقە لە تایەکەی بکەن یاخود بە شێوێکی وا سیارەکە نێتە پێشە بەڵام هەندێک حاڵەتیش خۆتان نەزانن ئیتر جوندیەکە ئەو ئەقلی لەو کاتەیە چۆن بیبڕێ ئەوەکە بەڕاستی لەو حاڵەتانە زۆر بۆ ئێمە تەمە ناکەین ئەوە نەمێنێ و
ئەگەر جوندیەک بڵێ بەو شێوەیە بە ئارەزوی خۆی ئەو کارە بکەوە تەقە بکە لەو خەڵکە دەبێ بەر عقوبات بکەوێتن وایە یان
بەڵام ئەوان خۆشیان لەناو خۆیانە قەرارات و شتی خۆیانیان هەیە بەڕاستی تایبەتە بەو جەریمانی کە ئەکرێ ئێمە کە قسەیان لەگەڵاکەین بە تاکی دەڵێن ئەوەش مەحامیمانی و خەڵکی خۆمانێت تاقیل و مەسەلەیە ئەکرێت و لێکۆڵی نوێی لەگەڵ ئەکرێت و ئەدرێ بە دادگا بەس لە دادگای عێراقی نادە دادگا لای خۆیان وڵاهی من وەکو شخصی خۆم لەگەڵ کوشتنی هیچ هاوڵاتێکی بێدیفاعانیم بەڕاستی و کارانە کارێکی باش نییە ئەو حاڵەتانە ڕاستە زۆر جار بووە لە کەرکووکا بووە لە محافەزەکانی تریشا بووە.
General Sarhad is put in a difficult position by the killings. The Kurds are meant to be America's best allies in Iraq, and especially in Kirkuk where they have welcomed the coalition forces with roses, and conflicts with American soldiers have been minimal. Although the police didn't have an exact figure of civilians killed, it is obvious that there are many more victims like my uncle. Saman Jalilyaba was 25 years old. He worked as a security guard for a construction company which provides concrete blocks to the American bases in Iraq. He was married to Nisan, but tragically they only had 2 years together. His sudden death devastated the whole family, leaving his only child without a father. And his brother Sami was with him when he was killed on the first night of his new job.
I'm Saman Ibrahim. بحمايتي أو بردانا لبو أمريكان. لرين بيشم قد أتصاحب مارو من داري. أتبرر السيارة كي دعاو من لبيش ودبم لبو تشبيه قينا من جنو من داري منيا قوتي باش. قيش نارت لي أمريكان لبو تكريد داتين. وزورش مانا ما بقينا مطار تكريد. لقى أمريكان راس تابن تقريبا 10 دقائق دبو. والساقة كي كسامين تيدابو. لبس لوري كان هاتبو بولاي إيما بيه. وأمريكيش اللي عندابو برندا سلاح ايج اوان لقر خوم دابو بيان قلتم سلاح كيف فرد وانا امريكينا من هر رمضان تيرورستن اوي لقر شيء سامان بو برندار بو قلتش بدستي كتبو لولا راحت السيارة كزور لما دور كتبو بمني قو برا قلتم ادي برام قلتي برا كد زوبي برا كد قلتم ايش تدا اللي درا قلتي بري من غارم دا بتسمبولاي السيارة كبولاي برام ايش جيتم امريكا لولي دوش كيلا من كردبو لايت اللي داتن امن جاز صدو دريج بوم داتا جماعات سنكن يعني وخسان لقى كردن هويان بيبشاندان دا كتسم بكا امريكا كان قدام قوره تمشى برام كبزانمات نشي سري لشيم داكر يس قلبي خيني بيونه بو قلت منكو دري له خوب بتوله بطاقه كاين غاز امريكا كان كر باري بيودنام دا كتسان لقربو وقت كم قلت مرت تمشاك بإشارة قسم وقرد عاد أولى تساعدة ودوا تمشاي أول كرد تانجي كرد قلتي أو أشكر قلتي نما
تنها سامان مرد يا أخو كسي كتير
ساقة كاج شهيد بو أول تاني سامانيش بريندار نيزكي بيس كسي كاز أنا يك دستي نما يك سري يك ساي نما يك بي نما لقى كله يعني
ئەو کاتێک کە بینیت براکەت کوژراوە بەدەست ئەمریکیەکانە هەستت چی بوو چت کرد؟
والله زورم بين اخذ وقالت تشقيلي ام زورم لباشيك والله بيوم كرا عميان بدكش برشم داس لاعي بس اواني لقر خوم بنياني ايش قلت انا ساعه تقريبا او دبابه ودوش كان بعميان لي ما ندن
استانزيكي و دومانگی بەسەردا دەچێتن کەوا براکەت کوژراوە ئێستا هەستت چۆنە بەرامبەر بە ئەمریکیەکان
والله هر هستم ناخۆشە لەبۆی ناتوان برام لە بیرکەم بەس ئەوان کە کوشتیان و لیان نەپێچینەوە کەس ناتەکردنەوە کەسیش قسەی لێ نەکرد بەس ئێستامە چەندە منداڵی دەبین ئەو خێزانەی دەبینین هیچیان نییە و پاشە ڕۆژ ئەو کوڕی گەورەبی یعنی باسی وای بکەین یعنی ئەمە ناری بابم چی هەبوو کولۆشێت کراکە عەقی بابم.
And Saman's wife, Nisan, is also trying to come to terms with the injustice.
پێشمەرگە بوو لە هەرێم معاشەکەی زۆر کەم بوو اینجا بڕیاریدا کە کار بکات لە شەریکەی هەفتا هەفت کە ببێ بە حیمایە کە ڕێیەکی زۆر ترسنا بوو کە ڕۆی یعنی ئەمە لە تیرۆریست دەترسان لێی بدا بەو ڕێی کە ڕۆی اینجا نەمازانی کە ئەمریکی لێی دەداتە کە بەیانیش یعنی لە ناکاو تەلەفۆنیان لۆ کردین گوتیانوە سامان کوژدایە یعنی زۆر تاسان لە جێ خۆمان هیچ هەستمان نەدەکرد بڕوامان نەدەکرد کە شتێکی وایە کە تا مێتیان هیناوە ئەوشەی پیاوەکەمیان کوشت و هیچ ژیانێکیان لێ متەئەمین نەکردە نەهاتینە کەوان لێیاندان و دەرن بە غەڵەتی لێماندایەوە کە تازە ئەویان هەر کوشتیز دەسەڵات نیە تەنها ژیانی خۆ بوو مناڵەکەم تەئەمین بکەن ژیانی کوڕەکەم نەفەوتیە.
For the time being, however, all Nisan has are the photos of her wedding day. And to make matters worse, 1 month after Saman's death, his older brother Samir, an Iraqi soldier, was kidnapped and brutally beheaded by insurgents. No wonder the family don't know who to call the enemy anymore. And I know my uncle's family feel the same. But just how big is this problem? The United States Army recently disclosed that since the war began in 2003, there have been more than 500 civilian claims in Iraq for what they term wrongful deaths and injuries. And as numbers continue to increase, they have set up a total of 31 designated foreign claims offices around the country to deal with them. The one in Kirkuk is only open one morning a week, on Monday, so that's when I went. But no one was there. A local Iraqi employee, however, told me that if a killing is recognized as wrongful death, the Americans can pay up to $2,500 to the victim's family in compensation. I couldn't believe my uncle's life was so cheap and wanted to know whether anyone could be held legally accountable.
How you doing? Can I come forwards because I see the sign saying stop. I need to talk to you.
With no alternative, I have now decided to confront the Americans myself. I had turned up at the main base in Kirkuk and asked for a meeting.
That's Major Cheng, yeah?
Cheng, yeah.
That's public affairs. Thank you very much. I could not make it to go inside the base because they are telling me I have to call Major Cheng. He is responsible for the public affair, and hopefully through him I should be getting an appointment with the Foreign Claim Commissioner.
I rang Major Chang and made an appointment to see him at 10 o'clock the next morning. In the meantime, I continued with my research on victims of wrongful death. Khalid, a taxi driver and father of 8, was 56 years old and also shot with 86 bullets, exactly like my uncle. On the 7th of February 2006, he was sitting in traffic in his taxi when all of a sudden a convoy sped by and opened fire for seemingly no reason. In response to the ensuing furore, American commanders appeared on local TV promising to investigate the case further and to bring the culprits to justice.
This tragedy involved a private security company which is not part of the coalition forces. Members of the company have moved to coalition control so that we can conduct a joint investigation with the Kirkuk Iraqi police and coalition forces.
But over a year later, Khalid's family are still waiting for someone to be charged for the death of their loved one.
من خزاني الشيخ خالد أو مصرف مانية تشيشا يتر أحم خزانة هلا من دز أو استجي كوري قولم هي أوج بخواجني هي أجاب قرار باي خوشينا يتريز معيشتك مانية حتى يستهيج حسابي عم بينا كذا يعني بليت تشتك ما بدني راتبي شي بودرتي عم برسيارة لم زلامة كان تون كجرا أو هالروي.
The family is still seeking justice. Majid, Khalid's only brother, has tried to contact the claims office in Kirkuk but was disgusted with the outcome.
این پاش تقریبا 2 مانج پیچو دیسا منیان بان کردەوە 25 وەرەقەیاندا 25 وەرەقە من وەرم نەگرت لەبەرەوەی کە پارەی سیارەکەش نەبوو یعنی دووبارە منیان کوشتەوە نەکرد جارێک ئەو جارێک کە 25 وەرەقەشیان داوە پێ منیان کوشتەوە من بە هەڵەی نازانم ئەگەر هەڵە بۆیە ئەها تەوازنی ئەخواز لە من ئەگە بە هەڵەیە بۆ 25 وەرەقەیدا پێم 25 وەرەقە چی بۆ 12 سەرخێزانەکە براکە قەت وەسفی ناکرێ قەتی لە فکرم ناچێ بە هیچ جۆرێک شەو ڕۆژ لەداڵقەوە یان ناتوانم فەرامۆشی کەم قەت لە فکر ناچێ
Nazim Qadir Muhammad was also killed in the same incident as Khalid, shot from the back with a single bullet. His 8-year-old daughter Susan and his son Muhammad, aged 5, showed me the bullet hole that killed their father. These days, Susan spends most of her time looking at photos of her father.
من حزناك من الله كان في أول بكم كأمريكي بكجنويان دج بأمريكا بنويان قصاب يعني حزناك في روشتاني عم بكم بس خويان كأي بسيارة كي أمريكية بينن حتى أقرب بتشوكا كم يعني يكلاس تلي دماتشي ديان مويان كجمو يعني رقي أنا بيته كأن بينت حزن بيناكا يكلاس صغلطة بيه وديته وبيري يعني كوا بوشي ويباوكي كجرا أظانية تفهمية.
But despite this, Nazim's wife Najla wants to bring up her children in the United States and hopes at least the American forces will help her to achieve this. The next morning, it was time for my appointment with Major Chang back at the Foreign Claims Commission. After waiting there for half an hour, however, I had another setback. The Major hadn't turned up and I would have to call him again.
All the pictures, all the pictures. What the pictures?
It was my last day before returning to England. I was having trouble getting through to the Major and I suspected he was screening his calls. So I changed mobile phones. It worked.
Major Chang, good morning, it's Karzan.
Hello, Karzan.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Am I going to have a meeting today with you?
I need to discuss it further with the commander. He has some concerns about it.
Excuse me, what sort of concerns?
I think it's placing us in a position where we've got to defend a point of view that is not. It doesn't.
Yes.
That you've placed us in this position where we've got to defend our point of view, and we know that all our actions are conducted in a professional manner. We have certain rules and guidelines that dictate our actions out there.
You mean shooting some 86 bullets at someone like Kakarash, who was 75 years old, in his car when he was trying to turn around the car and get away from your forces? That is acting according to the rules?
You know that we do everything we can within our power to prevent these acts. We do not go out there and randomly pull triggers. If the vehicle was approaching a checkpoint and all other vehicles are stopped, and that's the one vehicle that continues to approach, what would you do in that situation?
Of course, but in this case he was not proceeding forward. Go ahead.
According to whose statement?
According to the eyewitness on the scene, and also according to the doctor who received Kakarash, and he says the bullets were shot from behind.
I am sorry for their loss, truly sorry for their loss.
Although the Major expressed his sorrow for the families of victims like my uncle, he continued to defend his soldiers' actions.
We're here to support the Iraqi people.
My uncle's case was accepted as a wrongful death, and the United States Army in Iraq have so far paid out a massive $32 million for wrongful deaths and damages. This means there are thousands of other cases like my uncle's. But is this really the answer? During my time in Kirkuk, everyone I spoke to told me that, like my cousin Sabah, they have lost faith in the Americans as their liberators, especially when they value the lives of their victims so cheaply. And like me, they didn't understand how these killings can go unpunished. Surely, if no one is held accountable, then what is to stop it from happening again and again in the future?